Hi everyone, it's Kat. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm really happy to be back here talking to you about tapping, which is something that I've been using a lot in my work lately and also in my personal life. Tapping is something that operates under a similar idea as does acupuncture and acupressure, which is that it works on the meridians of the body, which is a concept that comes from traditional Chinese medicine, to help move the flow of energy. And if we think about it from a physiological perspective, it actually sends signals to the brain to stop the release of cortisol, which is a chemical that gets released into our body when we're going into that fight or flight mode, which is something that often gets triggered when we're feeling anxious, fearful, angry, stressed out. And then that's what leads to those feelings of like having tight chest, shallow breathing, heart racing, muscle tension, like that tight jaw, tight neck feeling. And then later on, you just kind of feel worn out and exhausted, right, after you've been tensed up for a while. So tapping can really help alleviate that, whether it's just that sort of general sense of like, oh, I'm feeling like really tense after a hard day, or like feeling like actual anxiety or panic coming on. So there's various forms of tapping. One that's well known is what's called EFT, or the emotional freedom technique, and that uses a series of tapping, which does focus on different meridian points. And that one I really love, but it can be a little intimidating to newbies to tapping, because you do have to remember the series of where to tap. You're using your fingers, but you do, I believe you start, see, I don't even remember all the time. I believe you start at the top of your head, and then you kind of move to different points on the face and then down to the chest. And so if you either don't have a great memory or just aren't used to the routine yet, it may feel too complicated to start with. So if you want something a little bit more simple to begin with, I always recommend sternum tapping. And if you're not familiar, the sternum is your breastbone. So it's the bone that's right in between your ribs at the center. And it's pretty easy to locate if you just run your fingers down from in between your clavicles or your collarbone and go down. There's a flat space right here usually, that's pretty easy to find, and it's over the area people associate with their heart. And this is a pretty easy place to locate and tap on. And it usually tends to bring a sense of comfort, like often if we're in meditation or feeling kind of like touched emotionally by something, we tend to kind of put our hands over our heart, excuse me for the shaking, anyway. So kind of tapping on that area can feel kind of natural and comforting anyway. That's why I like this as well. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to do some sternum tapping. And you can do just the tapping and definitely get some benefit from that, because like I said, just tapping on this area is considered a meridian point. You're tapping, whether it's you're thinking about a meridian point on according to traditional Chinese medicine, or if you're thinking more along the in the Indian tradition, the chakra system. This is your heart center in this area. You are kind of activating one of those points. And again, just the tapping itself is also going to send a signal to your brain to help slow down that release of cortisol that would otherwise activate that fight or flight response in the body. So just the tapping alone, if you want to just do that, can be really helpful. But it can be, you can exaggerate or amplify the effectiveness if you couple it also with some deep breathing, like some belly breathing, and maybe even layering on mantra if you like that idea, or affirmation, however you like to call it. So often if I'm using this with somebody who's feeling anxious, I might use a mantra like I am safe, or I am protected, or if somebody's feeling like they're having a little bit of trouble staying inside their body, if that makes sense, like if they're what we call in mental health like dissociating a little bit, or just feeling kind of like a disconnect that kind of happens when people are feeling really anxious or having maybe even a panic attack. You might say something like I am safe. And often I'll string maybe multiple phrases together. So for today, just for example, and you can totally make up your own mantra, whatever you want it to sound like. But for today, we'll do I am here, I am safe, and I am protected. Because I find that those ones are good ones if you're feeling kind of anxious or like exposed or whatever. But like I said, feel free if you're doing this on your own to use whatever word choice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of help you set the scene, help you ground in, get a little bit centered, and then we'll do some tapping together. All right. So if you're seated or if you're standing, just bring your attention to your feet. We'll start there. Think about really grounding down into your feet. You might even want to like lift the toes, even if you've got shoes on. If you have enough space in your shoes, you can kind of lift and spread your toes and then drop them back down, kind of thinking about almost suctioning down into the floor underneath you, rooting down almost like your feet and your toes were roots of a tree, kind of finding their way down into the earth beneath them. Keeping your legs strong and steady if you're standing. Just really building that firm foundation for yourself. And if you like, you can go ahead and close your eyes or drop your gaze down towards the floor. And then just bring your attention down to your belly area. And think about drawing your inhale down all the way down into your belly. And then exhaling back out through either your nose or mouth. Keeping both your inhale and your exhale nice and long and slow. And you may even want to have an audible exhale here, so that can sound something like or you can even bring some sound into it, so you could have a nice slow inhale. And then your exhale might sound something like this. Which is another technique for helping to relax the body. So we're kind of layering on different things that are going to help you relax. And after your next inhale and exhale, take your index, middle, and ring finger on either hand and just bring it up to your breastbone and start gently tapping whatever level of pressure that feels comfortable to you. Keep maintaining that gentle, deep breathing, expanding that belly like a balloon on the inhale, and then slowly deflating on the exhale. And then you can add in the mantra if you like, repeating either after me out loud or quietly to yourself. I am here. I am safe. I am protected. I am here. I am safe. I am protected. I am here. I am safe. I am protected. I am here. I am safe. I am protected. We'll do that a couple more times. I am here. I am safe. I am protected. I am here. I am safe. I am protected. And when you're ready, you can maintain the deep breathing, but maybe drop your hand back down by your side. And just sit or stand here for a few more moments, noticing any shifts in your body or in your mind. Now that you've had some time to take some breaths, to tap and to ground into the earth beneath you. And then at whatever point you're ready, you can gently start to flutter your eyes back open if they were closed, and start to come back to the room around you. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope maybe you experienced some of the benefits that come with tapping, and maybe including some deep breathing and mantra along with that. That was kind of a short cycle, and usually that should be enough to give you some sense of grounding. But if your emotions were a little bit more elevated when you begin, you might like to do a few more rounds. Maybe we did about 5 rounds that time. You might want to extend it maybe more to 10 rounds if you feel like you need a little bit more to bring you down. You can also couple that with doing some kind of meditation afterwards as well. Sometimes people like to use tapping kind of as a release of really elevated energy, and then they'll drop into meditation after that. It helps them kind of settle a little bit. So you can play around with it and just experiment and see what works best for you. And I hope you'll come back and comment and let me know how it goes. Take care, and as always, if you have any questions, drop them below. See ya.